Welcome to Black and Gold Digital Edition, a behind-the-scenes look at your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hi, and welcome to Week 8 of our digital show. I'm Jay Puskar alongside Mike Fenner and Kent Urbanski. And gentlemen, the Steelers are coming out of their bye week, a much-needed bye week, and they did so by winning their last 2 games going into that break. How crucial was it for them to go 3-3 after the first 6 games, but also get that bye and get the rest?
Well, I think they're right back in the mix now, well in it in the AFC North. And we kept saying that they only had 1 division game under their belts, a home loss to Cincinnati, but now you're talking about a prime opportunity coming out of that bye on the road at Cleveland, a chance to really put themselves right back in contention here in the AFC North. So they got plenty of football left, and hopefully plenty of good football, because they've got an opportunity to get right back in the mix.
And Ken, we were talking about it 2 weeks ago that hypothetically, boy, if they could beat Denver, and then if they can beat Seattle, they're still in the mix, and yet here we are. And what they were able to do on that Sunday night game against a team that didn't have their starting quarterback, Russell Wilson, but Geno Smith played pretty well, and you know what? Give them credit. They were able to get themselves back in that game.
Right, but I think not having Russell Wilson was the difference maker. You know, the way the Steelers were playing, barely holding on to that. If Russell Wilson was in that game, maybe it's a different outcome. But we're talking about a victory instead of a loss. They're 3-3, and it's with a fresh start going, coming after a bye. And I think this is a really important game here. You don't want to go down 2 games in the conference and the division.
Yeah, especially when you go up against a team that's been hammered with the injuries as well. The Cleveland Browns, they played awfully well. They did what they had to do against the Denver Broncos on Thursday Night Football, and they did it with a mash unit, backup quarterback, backup running backs, and yet they found a way to win. So it's almost like a mirror image of these 2 franchises going into Sunday's game. Yeah,
there's definitely injuries along both these teams, just in different areas. But, yeah, this Cleveland team is definitely a mash unit, all right. But you don't want to overreact because it's only week 8 and there's still plenty of ball left. You almost feel like this is a must-win type of game for both of these teams at this point in the season. You could argue that this could be a loser leaves town type of game, considering you've got Baltimore in this division, and no one expected the Cincinnati Bengals to be 5-2 through 7 games. So you're looking at a true 4-team race. And right now, one of these 2 teams has to get a win this Sunday. So this is a huge matchup in the middle of the season.
And Ken, when you look at the rest of the schedule, at least for the month, it's going to be challenging for them, and even moving forward beyond that into December. So this has to be a must-win for Pittsburgh.
Right. Well, you go in, you know, and if you get this win in Cleveland and you're 1 up, now, you know, 1 over 500. Now you have 2 NFC teams coming in here that are, you know, not full strength teams. That I think the Steelers have a good chance and opportunity to win before you start going, you know, to San Diego and playing a tough team out there. That's going to be
Los Angeles.
I'm sorry, Los Angeles. Thanks for that correction.
Always a Freudian slip. Even the national guys say it.
I hear it all the time, and you know. So, but now I joined in with that group. So, okay. So we can go with the Los Angeles Chargers, who didn't play real well coming to this coast and got beat pretty handily by the Ravens. So I think the Steelers, you know, if you win in Cleveland, a little bit more confidence, and then you get 2 more up, you know, now you have some flexibility to maybe go out to Los Angeles and get beat, you know, and it's just one of those teams that you can lose and not have it affect it too much.
From what you've seen so far, what concerns you the most with Pittsburgh going into Cleveland, just the way the Browns have been able to basically play next man up, and they've been able to be pretty successful with it?
Defensive line, you know, you got to be able to stop the run. You know, Alu was out, you know, and still no word or much of a word from Stephon Tuitt, who is really your run stopper. You know, so teams have been able to run. Look what Seattle did. They ran the ball pretty well against Pittsburgh, you know.
Especially that third quarter. They came right out and did it. Alex Collins, who was also a backup.
Right, you know, nothing in the first half, and then Alex Collins, you know, shot out of the gate there. So, and if you go to Cleveland and Chubb is playing, now you really got a tough challenge. So I think that's the most important thing, how you're going to shut the run down.
And Cleveland's got the depth. I mean, we saw Dearness Johnson have a breakout performance and make a name for himself, because his backstory is pretty incredible. And Case Keenum did a serviceable job in filling in for Baker Mayfield. So even if Baker can't go, you know, they've got a lot of optimism and confidence going in with that offense.
Yeah, as it stands today, I think they're optimistic that Mayfield says he's feeling a lot better with that break, with the opposite shoulder, not the throwing shoulder, but the labrum on the other one. They're feeling optimistic about both Mayfield and Nick Chubb going. But like you said, I mean, Keenum's serviceable. He's okay. He's a guy that can manage the game. And a lot of times these defensive coordinators look at them and say, well, they want to be a run-heavy first team anyway. So we're not completely concerned about which quarterback comes out there because it's kind of the same dynamic. I mean, just a little bit more out of Mayfield, of course, but with this running attack, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, Nick Chubb's one of the best running backs in football. Nobody's going to argue with that. When healthy, he's one of the top guys. Kareem Hunt out for several weeks. And then Dearness Johnson leads the league, across the league in Week 7 in rushing, almost 150 yards in that Thursday night game against a really good Denver front. So, yeah, these guys are for real when it comes to running the football and good offensive line play, so that will be a huge key.
And speaking of the running game, Pittsburgh has started to kind of get back to what they've always been preaching for at least the last season and a half. Najee Harris starting to run the ball really well.
Right.
You're starting to see some of that cohesion on the offensive line.
Right, and if they can get some positive yardage from Najee, both in the running and the passing game a little bit, and control the time of possession a little bit on the road, that's what's key. That's what's important. And when you mentioned Nick Chubb being hurt, you're talking about a running back with a calf injury. You're talking about a quarterback with an arm injury. I want them both in there. Let them both play, and they're not going to be 100%.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
That's how I feel about that. But back to your point, if Pittsburgh can go in there and play a grounded out game, kind of take a little bit away from what the Browns like to do, I see a low-scoring game, 2017, something like that.
Yeah, as do I.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to watch out of that secondary, too, for the Steelers, especially a guy by the name of Joe Hayden, going back to a place that he had a great stint with the Cleveland Browns, and it's going to be somewhat of a homecoming for him. And you can get the sense during practice this week that he's looking forward to this matchup, especially with what happened last year and the way the Steelers kind of fizzled out during that 2020 season.
He was super disappointed about not being a part of that playoff loss, and he's he was asked about that, and he said, "I don't know if I would have made the difference individually in winning or losing the game, but he would have liked to have been out there, of course, and very amped up about the chance to do it this week." I mean, I know that the Week 17 game a year ago was sort of a throwaway because of the rest from the Steelers starters, but Cleveland technically wins the game. Then they win the playoff game, so they've got 2 wins back-to-back in the series, and now people are talking about this is a rivalry again because, I mean, these last couple of years, Cleveland's finally gotten back in it. They've become a quality team. The record doesn't show it so far this year because of injuries and other things, but yeah, I mean, these guys are actually excited to have a rivalry with this team where it's not one-sided, and now that both sides are truly competitive back and forth, it should make for an interesting matchup. And yeah, Hayden going back. He also touched on Dan Gilbert at the Cavs. He's still pretty tight with those guys, and just the community, and he really spoke to how much that city means to him still and has meant to him. And then Ben Roethlisberger, very complimentary of the fan base and the dog pound right away in his press conference as well. So he says, no matter what you say about the team or the fans, I think they're passionate and as passionate as anybody. So.
Didn't he also say he's still the most winningest quarterback?
He ended the presser that way. Yeah, he's like, at least
Right, we'll have to throw that little jab in.
Little wink, wink.
Right.
Ken, how do they get it done? Pittsburgh has played pretty well on the road this season. How do they do it in Cleveland?
I want to see big games from 2 guys, Devin Bush and Minkah Fitzpatrick. 2 guys that have had the monkey on their back. Everybody's on them. I want to see those 2 guys make plays that make a difference in this game.
Mike, for you?
Man, he stole some two good ones there. I think Devin Bush is a good one. I think that he could have a breakout game. I guess I'll just stick to T.J. Watt, even though he's usually big every week, including right before the bye. I'll stick with Watt. And I'd like to see a third receiver step into this rotation and make a difference now that Juju Smith-Schuster is gone for the year. I'd like to see someone that can complement Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson and see who can step up, whether that be a tight end or a wide receiver.
Right.
Someone in that passing game that can really step up and make a difference, whether it's Eric Ebron, Pat Freiermuth, a guy like Anthony Miller that comes up or gets elevated. Somebody in that receiving core, I'd like to see a different pass catcher that can kind of make a spark, create a difference in this game.
No question about it. Should be
Someone
a lot
that
of
they
fun.
have a game plan for.
Yeah.
Should be a lot of fun, especially on Halloween Day, Halloween night.
Right.
It's going to be raucous over in Cleveland, especially with no fans last year. They're going to be pretty fired up for this matchup in
I
week.
expect you to bring a few treats along with you there, Jay, for the game.
Snickers? Reese's Cups?
Reese's are the go-to.
What's your go-to?
I'm looking at it right here. I'm going with the caramel corn.
Little caramel corn?
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with that either. Candy corn, not so much. Guys, thanks so much. Have a great weekend. We'll make sure we get you those treats.
Okay.
Reese's Cups, Snickers.
I'm counting on it.
Good luck.
You got it. You got it. Well, for Jay Puskar and Mike Fenner and Ken Urbanski, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for watching. Join us again next week for Black and Gold Digital Edition.